mahogany teakwood, lavender, vanilla, eucalyptus, and linen. These are a few of the favorite smells of my next guest, the fabulous Chalyce McQueen. Chalyce, please introduce yourself. Tell us what you do.
I'm Chalyce McQueen, born and raised Scottsdale, Arizona. I have an insurance agency, a farmer's agency, off of Raintree in the 101, and I sell protection. Take that as you wish.
She sells protection, people. Oh, I like it.
Not Trojans, but...
Everyone has a story. Everyone has a defining moment. Let me let you in on the secret that led them to their goal. Their strength lies solely in their tenacity. Welcome to Tenacious Thoughts. I am your host, Kimberly Tenacious T. Togo.
How did you get your own agency you're 35?
I'm going to be 35 in June, this month.
35 years old, you have your own agency, and it is her own, people. How did this happen?
Well, I'm expensive, so I have to work to be able to afford myself, and I've always wanted more. I was raised by a powerful woman. You know, my dad was around, so it wasn't like she was completely single, but they were divorced, so she was a single woman, and both my parents are entrepreneurs, and that was just the path that I was paved.
So let's talk about that a little bit. There's all this rage about, oh my God, my childhood trauma. And that's stopping me from being able to do these things. Now, it is real. We all have childhood trauma, but that's the point I'm trying to make. Is how old were you when this divorce happened?
Oh, I was 5. I mean, and my parents were awful to one another. Like, it probably took until I was like 25 before my parents could really cohabitate in an event together.
Right.
And they would definitely play the kids and each other. So it wasn't exactly ideal in that regard.
Sure.
But I am so grateful for my upbringing and how I was, having to walk home at like 9 years old and fix my own snacks, because that is why I am who I am.
Yeah.
Like, there's no...
Sounds very much like a Gen Xer. That would be me. We didn't even get to go inside. The doors were locked till dinner time. You had to go find something to do. So
I had to go inside, shower right away, make sure I didn't touch anything, and I was de-germed. But yeah, that was just part of, I'm a millennial, but I don't really have any of those characteristics. And I'm grateful for that.
So walk me through, and we're going to say like the teenage years. You very young, your mother divorces. It's a very tumultuous divorce, obviously. So there's the tug of war. How many siblings do you have?
I have a sister, and she's younger.
Okay, so a younger sister. How much younger?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. So you're a teenager, you're in high school, and you've seen all this happen. What's going through your mind when you start thinking about your future and who you want to be? What part of that tumultuous relationship that you went through, watching your mother go through, changed your mindset?
I don't know that I ever thought about it, to be honest. Of course, I thought about the dream of meeting your person and having that fabulous wedding and this picket fence and all the things that we dream about as women.
Yes.
But I don't know that I really thought about it. I met my ex-husband by accident, really, and that was just a whole little story in itself. And I guess the more important thing is not what I picked up in childhood, but as an adult and going through a divorce, what I guess I portray now for what I want out of life and out of a partner, right?
Right.
Because now I know a thing or two. I know some shit.
So, and again, another beautiful example of, you went through this thing as a kid, and then you become an adult, and you kind of repeat a little bit.
Repeated the pattern,
The pattern, the cycle.
Sure.
And so at some point, you were like, wait a minute, I this isn't what I want in my life, right? So
100%.
So you've gotten through high school, and you're not really thinking about relationships, and you meet your ex-husband, repeat the cycle. At what point you decided, okay, I'm going to get my own business. This relationship isn't right for me. What was that pivot for you?
So it's so interesting. My ex-husband, and I'm not going to say anything ill about him because we just were each other's people, and it just is what it is. But there definitely was a control aspect there. And even though I got my real estate license the second I turned 18, so I've always had that spirit. And my mother and I have always had a business together. But that wasn't something that he wanted me to do, my ex-husband.
Interesting.
He,
Yeah.
he wanted me to basically be a stay-at-home wife with nothing to do.
Interesting.
And as glamorous as that is in a concept, it's
Right.
not. And I know towards the tail end of our marriage, I started to wanting to really invest more into my career or like buy some investment properties. And he just never was about that.
Right.
And so I'm, as scary as it was to separate from each other and try to overcome and move on, I never would be the woman that I am now today
Sure.
if I still would have been married to that man.
And do you think it was something within you that was just like, I have more to do in my life? And it was just, like you said, two people that do respect each other, that, obviously were attracted to each other for a reason, but then no room for expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. We were on two separate paths, and that was very evident. And we both weren't happy as well. So happiness is really key above everything,
Yes.
right? Success and, prosperity, all of that. But yeah, I just knew that and there's a lot obviously to unpack there.
Of course.
But it wasn't my place in life. That wasn't my path. That was my path for a moment to show me a different way and I guess reinstow who I need to be.
But, self-worth?
Yeah, I just 100%. Yeah, self-worth is a great key.
And as a spiritual psychologist and metaphysical physician, it does come down to each relationship teaching you something
100%.
about yourself.
Yeah.
About yourself. I think a lot of people, I went through that relationship so I could learn what not to avoid, or I could learn,
not to
who
do,
I don't like,
red
or,
flags.
all of that. No, it's to teach you your own red flags. Right?
It's very valid.
So that we can be like, oh, I need to get rid of that because I don't want that again. It's what we attract to ourselves through how much we love ourselves, which definitely makes me question a lot of things that happen in my life too. But this is one of the beautiful things about you, and I think why you have a calmer demeanor, especially for your age, is you just decided I'm going to keep growing. And you just stepped into that. Now, obviously, it wasn't as easy as that sounds. So you went through a divorce. And when did you decide, so you're in real estate, which is fantastic, and you're going to buy investment properties. How did it come into an insurance agency that protects you?
So my mother and our real estate company was portfolio management. So full service, but a lot of property management. And, obviously when you own a real estate asset, you have to have insurance because it's required and it's for your protection. And we are seeing our customers have like insurance claims that were denied or partially, paid for. And I was like, what the heck is going on?
Right.
And so I'm not going to lie, it really was more of an asset for me to work smarter, not harder, although I'm working really, really hard. But I do have a passion just protecting people, educating people. I always have.
Right.
We work so hard for everything we have in life. Everything from the clothes on our back to obviously the car we drive and the home that we live in, whether we rent or we own. We pay for that. Above all, I just want people to understand what insurance looks like, what protection looks like.
Well, that's interesting but I myself have gone through, slab leaks and weird, like on the side leaks and irrigation leaks and roof problems and AC problems and appliance problems. And half the time, even with the home warranty, there's stuff that's not covered and nobody tells you this. And I wouldn't even know to tell my clients that because it's not my expertise. And
right.
I think we forget about all these things. And in Arizona, we don't have a lot of huge natural disasters. So it's not something we check. What should we be checking even as consumers?
So I tell my clients, whether you're my client or not, every time you get a renewal, whether it's your home, your auto, whatever it may be, just look at your coverages. Make sure that you know what you have. Obviously it's up to you what you decide to have or not have, but just make sure that you pay attention.
But how about also make sure that your agent communicates that with you?
But they don't.
They don't. People.
Yeah, service is like a lost art. They don't. I mean, I know people that don't even know who their agent is.
Right.
Theory,
I will say I had a recent jewelry loss that you would assume would be covered. You just would assume that. But no, my agent never told me I had to buy a special rider if I wanted my insurance covered, my jewelry covered. I'm just like...
The rule of thumb is insurance
Painful.
is a company. They're a business. They're for profit, obviously. And so you have to just know what's included. And if you don't have an agent that does communicate with you or at least offers to communicate, you need to look for somewhere else. And I know that we're so cost conscious right now. Everything's crazy expensive. Insurance is through the roof. Arizona's the second most expensive state in the nation for insurance.
Yeah.
So I get us not wanting to pay for something. But the cost of not having it is far beyond.
I will tell you, it cost me $20,000.
And that was the
not
jewelry.
fun. That was the
Imagine if you
jewelry,
actually had, a liability claim against someone, your home, and
exactly.
now you're being sued.
And you're covered for $10,000, and they're suing you for $1 million or some craziness.
100%.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
People are desperate right now, and they're sue happy. And like I said, you have to have your back because no one else is.
So that's the interesting part: is you're successful, you're in real estate, you're doing investments, you decide that you want to expand yourself, you're moving on from a marriage, and you saw a gap that you could fill
And the
very
gap,
easily.
And the gap is still there. It's just a matter of getting in front of people and saying, listen, you need to call me.
Right.
Like you can lead the horse to the water, but are they going to
Right.
drink? So you guys need to call me, okay? I still do real estate. It's not my main gig, I would say. I do it more as a courtesy to the clients that I do have that I've
Nice.
served for 17 years. But it's not my day-to-day. My day-to-day
Right.
definitely is my insurance agency. And how it started was so bizarre. I had a friend in town that worked for Farmers Corporate. And he's like, why are you not doing insurance? I'm like,
Right.
why am I not doing insurance? So in a matter of like 3 months, I got licensed. I started interviewing different companies to find out who'd be a good fit for me and what I want to do and,
Right.
to serve my clients. And I found Farmers ultimately because they do have the reputation.
I will say, they are the best.
They really are.
The customer service, everything.
100%.
And again, after that experience of mine, I wish I would have had Farmers because it wouldn't have been an issue.
Well, I mean, it's not just about your company. Obviously, you need to know who you do business
Yes,
with
yes.
and who is really protecting you ultimately, but it is about your agent.
Yeah.
Because you don't know anything about insurance, nor do you have to. So you do need to rely on someone.
We just assume that, that person, oh yeah, this is what you need, you're good to go, and then we never talk to them again, and years go by, and then we lose a piece of jewelry.
Right.
Here
Just
we
like
are.
they come to you for your expertise to
Yes.
find them their asset, their home.
Yes, it's the difference between your cousin who sold 2 houses and you're going to use them to buy a house, and someone like me who sold hundreds of houses over a decade.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I get it. You and your mom, both in real estate and in the insurance
She
together?
doesn't do the insurance with me, just the real estate. So we do have a little bit of a separation.
Right.
And she's very busy too, obviously. So, and it's hard to have more than one master. It really is.
Right,
As
right.
we talked about, I think when we
For
were at
sure.
the baseball game. But I feel like this is my calling. I'm good at it. I
You like it.
understand.
You
I
like
just
it.
like helping people. It
Right.
really, Mark, my boyfriend, is like, why are you on the phone with people all the time? Like, have someone else do that. I'm like, I'm relationship. I'm old school.
I think that's a lot of the reasons why we do what we do, because we become an expert at something and we realize that there's this huge gap, and we realize that we love people and there's so many ways that we can help them, and it creates this lovely relationship that 10 years from now they call you again because, number one, you serve them well, and they're going to reciprocate that by repeating their business with you. So,
God willing, right?
yeah. So you had this office for how long now, or this business?
Since 2019.
2019. Oh, okay. So you open it up, and then COVID hits.
Literally, so I purchased some book of business. So really that part of the business launched January 1st, 2020. 3 months later, we're in a shitstorm.
Oh
and,
God! And in insurance and in COVID.
Yeah.
And, oh my God! How did you handle that?
It's a challenge. Like even now it's a challenge, right? We all are feeling the pressures of just the economy and again, inflation and our books not like keeping up with what we have to outpay. And it is a challenge. It
Yes.
definitely, I have days where I don't want to get up.
So take us through that. Like, okay, so you started your new business and COVID hits, and I think a lot of us had started a lot of things, and suddenly the brakes are on, and not only are the brakes on in one aspect, but they're on, then the fire's on too, because your insurance, right? You've got homes and different things happening that you've got clients you've insured, and how did you push through that? What'd you do?
You don't have a choice. I think that's just my mentality,
Nice.
right? Is I don't have a choice. I purchased a book of business. I don't give up.
Nice.
My name is my integrity and everything, and my name's on that door.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, I'm going to have a void and a problem if I let something go to the wayside.
Yes.
And so you just got to keep pushing through it. Again, it's
Right.
not easy. It's not fun. I don't enjoy life every day sometimes.
Right.
But you're an adult. You have your big girl pants on, and you just got to forge on.
So
And
that's awesome.
to your point, like the way that we treat people, we hope that comes back tenfold. And
Yes.
regardless whether it does or it doesn't, I know I can sleep at night knowing that I do good by people.
Right.
And it just, that's, I guess, the real force behind it.
So let's talk a little bit about sleeping good at night. God. Where does God come in your life, and how long has God been a center part of your life? Because I know God is.
I've been I'm grateful in the fact that it wasn't forced down my throat as a child. And the reason I say that is as an adult, I was able to choose that for myself. And
Yes.
after my divorce, I found a new church. I go to Trinity Church. Pastor Mark Driscoll is amazing.
Yes.
And I remember him teaching or preaching the book of Galatians. Mm-hmm. And the whole basis behind Galatians is grace versus law-based.
Yes.
And I think for a long time, I approached people very law-based, like, oh, I'm throw the book at them. It's black or white. There's no gray. And I think that's a real miserable way to live because you get affected a lot by other people.
It's actually living in your mind. When you're law-based, when you're rule-based, when you're book-based, you're using just thought and mind to direct your life. We can't live that way. We weren't constructed to live that way. We're meant to live through the heart. Everything needs to go through the heart first. And then we can process it with the human mind. This is where God is.
I definitely can appreciate that. It's hard sometimes, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, God, yes, it is. It's very good.
Always open and flowing.
No.
But yeah, that thought process completely changed trajectory of just how I approach people, how I approach life. And I just learned to accept people for who they are, and I try not to let that affect me so much.
What's your personal relationship with God? How do you communicate with God? What is your routine with God?
I need to do much better at it. I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely not the perfect Christian, but I try to attend church virtually at least on Sundays. Just a good refresher reminder of, put things in perspective, especially now. We have a lot of negativity in our world and our surrounding. Just the pressures from, again, the financial, the economy, obviously all these different opinions politically, and it's a lot of toxicity. And so when you hear the prayer of what's meant for that day, and usually Pastor Mark's really good at making it relatable to what is going on.
Yes.
It's just a good reminder.
Yes.
And I think my relationship with God has helped me be even more appreciative. Again, I'm not going to say, poor me. Obviously, I live in one of the most affluent parts of the nation, and I have a very beautiful life, and I'm very grateful for that. And I know it's because of the blessings that I receive. So I just try to talk to him and just do public prayers for everybody because we all need some higher God than us.
So I'll share a little something with
please.
you. One of the reasons why we go to church, one of the reasons why we go into prayer, one of the reasons why we collectively ask for prayer is because the only way that God can work through us efficiently is if we reach a higher frequency or a joy or a calm or a peace. That's why they say meditation. That's why they say prayer. It is not actually going to a church or having to go to a community, as they say, where one or more people meet. It is where God is. God communicates through joy and love. Not through anger, not through suffering, not through shame, not through self-deprecation, through joy, through love. So if you notice, whenever you do meet with people, whenever you do have a prayer, whenever you do go to Sunday church or practice your religion, Christianity beliefs, you feel good.
You do. You feel better.
You feel good because God is felt.
Yeah, I can appreciate that for sure.
And you had mentioned you're not the perfect Christian. And that's why I paused on this for a moment, because what is a perfect Christian? Who decides what a perfect Christian is?
It's a great point. I mean, we obviously, again, know the law base of the Bible and what you should and should not do, or, what is appropriate. But I guess to your point, it's about your relationship with him and your faith. And that's really what makes you a great Christian.
And the Bible is obviously the good book. It definitely has the outline, but is everything in there that God said and has said?
I wasn't there.
Right. And so I mean, we can confidently say that God has more to teach us even outside the Bible.
Yeah.
And that is when we go within and find our peace.
And
our
the
joy
people that
and
are placed in
trust
our
that
lives,
feeling.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are the only judge of what a perfect Christian is. Only us. God is 100% unconditional.
That is very true. He is.
God gave us the free will to decide on our own
That is very true.
what a perfect Christian is. Period.
Thank you for that reminder. You're absolutely correct.
No,
Yeah.
I had to say that. So you get through COVID, and I heard you say something about a boyfriend. How did this come into play?
Yeah. Mark and I met like 3 years ago, just about.
But when COVID hit too.
Yeah, pretty. Yeah. When did we connect? It was like September of 2020. So it was a little bit.
Right.
COVID obviously is definitely happening, but we connected and we dated for a hot second, and we're like, yeah, thanks but no thanks. We're
Too
going
much
our
is
own
going on in our
direction.
life, right?
We're not. It's not our time. And then we reconnected basically a year ago, almost a year ago, July, and yeah, it's going strong. He is a very different person, partner, man that I have ever dated in my entire life.
Right.
Dare I say, like the most adult relationship I've had, which is funny considering I was married. It's just different.
Yes. I think for you, someone like you, very strong woman. Strong woman in what you want visually. I'm not talking about, well, you probably are strong, but that's not what I meant. You're strong in who you are becoming. And I say becoming for a reason because you finally recognized your self-worth. You're ready to expand who you are. And naturally, we call out to someone that can complement that. Someone that's not afraid to allow you to expand.
Yeah.
We call in a king, right?
We're certainly.
We don't call in a little boy.
No, I've been there though. I've been there a lot of times.
Right. There's this part of us that believes that, we have to stick it out. We have to make it work.
That is true.
We have to
Yeah.
make it happen. And we do have to try. But society has drilled it into our heads that no matter what, and God did say it in the Bible, till death do you part. Is the death a literal death, though? Isn't during transformation or sledgehammers or things that happen in our life mean it's a death of our old self and a birth of a new one?
I like that. I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
Right. So as we transmute and change and the death of our old self falls away and the new self comes in, we know what we want. Our aura knows what it needs. Our soul knows what it needs. So this king came along.
He did, and it's been interesting.
And you weren't quite ready at first. You're like, oh, okay, no.
No, I mean, we literally the past year kind of tiptoed of,
Yeah.
are we exclusive? Are we not? And
Which is beautiful, as it should be.
yeah,
You took your time with it.
we sure did.
You didn't do a quick swipe left, quick swipe right.
No, we did not. We spent a lot of time diving deep and
Spent a lot of time diving deep, people.
yeah.
Spend time together.
And I'm not a patient person. I'm not. So I mean, believe me, I had moments where I was like, all right, Mark, you need to sugar off the pot.
Right.
Like I'm in a high demand here. Okay.
Well, look at her. I mean,
Thank you.
it's successful.
Thank you.
Doing very well for herself.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
And he is too. I mean, obviously him.
Yes, we will mention Mark is successul, attractive, funny. He's funny.
He is funny.
He's funny. Makes you laugh.
Yeah, I
doesn't
call him my Disneyland boyfriend.
I love it.
Because he just, and his friends call him the 53-year-old spring breaker for life. I mean,
Right.
he's
fun.
He's this force to reckon with himself. And for me, I definitely can be very serious. I have a lot of demands with work and.
So you need that. You need that
amen.
playfulness.
I do.
Yet at the same time, he's mature.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he has moments, but
He takes responsibility for things.
he's a man. He's
Yes.
definitely a man. He has his responsibilities. He owns it, takes care of it. And after hours, he's Disneyland boyfriend.
There's a note that I want to draw attention to.
Okay.
Strong woman, has her own business, gorgeous, young, in the prime of her life. But when you're with him, you soften up completely. I've seen it. you become this soft, feminine, giggly,
Yeah.
lovely, beautiful woman. That's what we need in the end of the day, isn't it? Like we go through our whole day and we just want to melt into him.
Amen. Absolutely. No, he definitely gets to be the man and I get to be the woman. And that's, as a strong woman, that's all that we want.
Ooh, now those were some tenacious thoughts. Stay tuned for part 2. Chalyce McQueen and the famous questions.
At sundown, come down, think about